Yo guys, good evening. We're back again with Magnus, the red / blue / pearlescent / pink and orange. I think that's all of the most colors in the rainbow. But we're back nevertheless with Maggie's base. Now this is going to be an amazing stream. We've got a load of new things to try out tonight to work on this absolute badass base, courtesy of Damien Pedley. But all the new stuff comes from Rival Crafts. We've got a load of MIG modeling pigments. We've got 7 new pigments to try out from Rival Crafts MIG ammo range. So definitely going to be giving these guys the full stress test this evening. We've even got, and I quote, Jay's Special Brew. These are some 10mm tufts to really give a massive lift to this base. Really looking forward to these. Sarah, the absolute badass that she is, made these on Tuesday night, possibly in lieu of dinner, at about 10 p.m, just so they could have them for tonight's stream. Sarah, you're fucking awesome. We have got a lot of progress done on Magnus over the last day or so. Still haven't done the rest of the sword. We've got this, and then we you know. But this is fine, because this I can use for an Instagram tutorial. Woo! So that still needs to be finished off. With a little bit of gold, but if I'm honest, I might just spray black back to Viking gold and work up from there. We'll see. But that's obviously got to be done. We've got these 2 bits to go on the wings that are literally just awaiting some final highlights on the gold and then the red highlights to be done. All of Magnus's many horns, some books and some scrolls, and the reverse side of one of his wings. But I'm just going to show you where we're at with Magnus. Those of you who watched the last stream will remember that we did some work on the sashes, the silken robes of Magnus. And I finished those off stream with a little bit of oil washing just to get inside the grooves on there, and a little bit of highlight. You can just see a little peak, just a little je ne sais quoi there at the back of the board. Welcome to the chat, everyone. MC Jager, yes, the tester's order did reach me. So in a slight panic, last stream we found out that the testers were no longer stocking or producing, in fact, the amazing Tester's Dull Coat. This is a fresh can out of the 6 that I had in my cupboard here. We bought another 18 cans from a local stockist, putting me to 24. And MCG Jager, the utter boss that he is, went, you know what, Jay? Someone near me has got a couple of cans. I'll buy those and send them to you. So I now have 26 cans of Dull Coat. That should last me a year or 2. You know, should just about get through that period of time. So Jager, thank you very much, sir. You're fucking awesome too. Commissar Bob, how you doing? Toonie Spruce, thank you for that host. We've also got Rival Sarah herself. That's Des. All the cool people in the chat already. Squeezil, get a subscribe on Twitch Prime. 3 months, dude. Thank you very much. Subscriptions are super important to me right now, because this is pretty much going to be my full-time job come the middle of November. Streaming and painting is where we're going to be at. I've got loads of news about that to reveal over the next few months. Oh, and Fletcherton coming in as well. 7 months for him. Cool gang here, he says. Yes, man, it is. But the coolest of people in the gang is this bad boy right here. This is where we're at with Magnus the Blue right now. So cool. This was what we worked on last stream. All we've done is a couple more armor plates, as you can see, that have been attached. We've added a little bit of texture to the robe. You can't quite make it out on camera, I don't think. Added some highlights and just put a quick magenta oil wash into these recesses to allow that design to stand out. Let's just give you guys the butt shots. You can see the other two bits of robe we've got there. And we're getting all of those colors coming in strong now. Loving it. That blue through purple into pink, faded up to white. Worked so well. I'm definitely going to be using that for another project. As you can see, the back of this wing still needs its highlights done. This one, complete. You see the difference. It's quite a difference. It is about 2 hours work to get those highlights in, but well worth it, as you can tell. But this guy's looking particularly fucking cool right now, let's be honest. Just pop him down, out of the way. We're going to get a bit messy tonight because it's base time. So this part still unattached. We've got this to airbrush and get all looking nice and cool. It's probably going to be a very pale blue that we go with that. Toonie Sprues, you missed out. You did miss out, son. You have to check out that VOD. I've been really shit uploading the VODs. Really, really shit. So I put 4 up the other day. That's 4 streams worth of... like, oh, damn. It's just... at the end of the stream, I'm like, right, I'm tired. I want to go to bed now. And so it's tricky to get that done, but we're going to make a focus. Try and get them up as soon as we finish the stream. So this is the last thing we need to be airbrushed, but this is what we're going to be working on this evening. We've got some brush work to do. Get some highlights just snapped in place to pick out some of these details. If you want to see how we got to this point, go check out YouTube. We did all of the airbrush work on this base. All of this is just airbrush work as well. In about 2 hours. Des, I'm fucking terrible. Don't start with me, alright? I will get... Jaeger, you can shove it too. Des, I will give you fucking editor privileges if I have to, and you can make the commands. I will get them done, and if they're not done by Sunday stream, then I will do a forfeit. If that right, here's how much I want to get them done. We're going to set the forfeit really badly. No, you can't. You need to be editor privilege, not moderator privilege. So, if the airbrush command, the updated DZTV command, and there was another one. There was a Pachow command we were going to do for Uncle Adam. And there was one more, I think. I think there might have been one more. There was definitely those 3, if not 4. If those commands aren't done by Sunday night stream, then at the start of the stream, I will do alternating shots of habanero sauce and tequila. Pedley, that was it. So we'll do a double shot of habanero sauce and a double shot of tequila at the start of the stream, and then you can watch me die during the rest of the stream. Out of what? God, there's 5 commands. I completely renege on what I just said. 5 commands. That's terrible. Comments on Bob. I'm gonna regret it, but I'm gonna do it to stop myself from having to drink a double shot of habanero sauce. So somebody, Toonie Sprues, like, calm down. I can't do a command for everyone on Instagram and on Twitch. All right. To be fair, he is quite a... yeah, Curry's good. All right, maybe a brush for hire command. Somebody whispered me that on Discord. We'll try and do a brush for hire command as well, but that's not part of the deal. 5 commands. Pedley, Art of War. Airbrush. Shit. DGTV command. And Pachow. There we go. Those 5. We'll get those 5 done. If they're not done by Sunday stream, we'll smash down some habanero sauce and we'll wash it down with tequila. If they're not done by Sunday. That's my promise to you. It's been clipped. It's official. That's what's happening. Karen command. Fuck off with the Karen command. Alright, before we get into the brushwork on that, let's have a look at these. So I've not even opened these yet. We might have to use one additional pigment that's not from this bunch, which is a shame, because when I was looking at the website, the images aren't quite the same as the pigments that we've got. So one of these, in the images, looked ever so slightly greenish, and I think it was this one. No, it might not have been. Could have been that. I don't think it was Russian Earth. But one of them looked ever so slightly green. This one kind of does on camera. Dark Earth. Let's get into this. No, it's still definitely much more of a brown. So I was expecting... It comes up on camera as a little bit green. But... it's a little bit greeny brown. It's like... Not quite green enough. Hobo J! Getting his sub on 12 months. Absolute bad lad. Thank you very much. Let's get some love in the stream for that man right there. Get some hobo commands going on as well. And thank you for my whatever emote that is. A CD or something. So we might have to use a green one on top of this, which is a shame. I was hoping to do every part of this with just Rivalcraft stuff. They do have one that's a little bit green, I'm sure. But I obviously chose one based on a picture that wasn't quite true to life. So we've got black... Russian Earth, which is kind of a darkish brown. We've got Winter Sword, which is a rich brown. I like that one a lot. That could replace, I think it's Dark Earth I use from Cromlech, perhaps. You know, that's a good one. Track Rust, really red. Actually, this is a lot more like Dark Earth from Cromlech. So we've got a load of darker browns, richer browns. We've got some nice lighter colors of grey, brown, and then this, which is slightly greeny brown. So we've got all of those. They're going to be going on there, possibly with one additional pigment from my current collection. Let's start off getting some brushed highlights down, because that's the first thing we've got to do. And this is why you shouldn't dry brush bases, guys, because we could dry brush this, but we wouldn't get these nice dark shadows and recesses in there. We wouldn't have got that filtering going on. So there's plenty of reasons never to dry brush a base. Those are just some of them. Let's get going. We're going to need some Celestra Grey. That's one of the lightest colors we used on all of the tiles and steps and the pillars and so on. So we're going to go in with that for our highlight color. Golden Earth. Okay, cool. If you can remind me of that one next time I do an order, I will pick that one up as well. As long as this experiment goes well. Let's get some fresh water on the palette as well, because the stuff I've got is a little bit orange tinted. You save dry brushing for texture on the brown base rim, right? Fletcherton. Thank you for your sub. Don't you dare say that. Also, who wants to know what project we're going to work on after Magnus? There is more after Maggie. Like I said, this is about to become my full-time gig for the foreseeable future. There's always more, but who wants to know what it is? Does anyone care? Did you do the base? So this is it. This is what we're working on tonight. I didn't sculpt the base. That was Damien Pedley. Please do one called Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth is what I'm going to be feeling Monday morning if I forget to do those commands. Whew. Okay. The next project for the stream, after Magnus is done, is something I have wanted to paint since the very moment it was announced on Warhammer TV Preview. Are you ready? It is a 40k model. Oh yeah! This is going to be super, super sick. I can't wait to get this guy going on. What an utter fucking beast mode mini this is. This is part of a massive Dark Angels commission for Nick McDade. Chaplain on bike is up there. That's going to be first on the block to get done on stream. Syrian Ground, that's the green hint. Okay, so Syrian Ground is the one that looked green. Primaris Filth, absolutely. I can't do Ghost Rider, it's got to be WYSIWYG. So this one looks slightly green in the Rival Crafts product images. And you can see on stream, it's kind of slightly green. I think it just photographs green. But it's definitely much more of a sort of light tan than it is a green. So maybe the lesson there is just do a little bit of extra research. Maybe I should have gone to the MIG site, maybe looked at some reviews for some of these to see exactly what they were. But this one looked a little green. Definitely isn't as green as I was hoping. So we might use a green from my own collection as well. Okay, we've got some free bonus weathering on there. That's fine. Right, let's get our highlights on. So we've got some Celestra Grey. God, I know I'm going to forget those fucking commands. Why did I make that stupid bet? Yeah, it is what it is, Sarah. So let's just start off on this, because otherwise I know I'm going to forget it. And we're just going to use this to start hitting some of the prominent edges. That's all. And we want to keep some texture, so we'll end up with like a little bit of a stipple here and there. Where we've got any large bits of like chipping, then we'll just get a quick under highlight on there, help that look a little bit more 3D than it actually shows up on camera. But this is all just about little edge highlights. There's another bit just here we can do, and then again here. Now you could, again, like I said, you could dry brush this, but you're not going to get this clean effect. You're certainly not going to get these targeted highlights underneath any sort of battle damage. And so I would always suggest that you just put down a dry brush when you do your basing. Ignore that. Ignore all of those little like hobby thoughts in the back of your head, like, well, it's a base, so I dry brush it. No, no. No, no. If I ever do my own chaplain, my own Marine army, and at some point I'm probably going to. I've got a load of Marines from the Indon box. I've got a load of Marines from a previous Marine army I did, my Alpha Legion styled Primaris. And I had a Marine army back in 7th and at the start of 8th. I love Marines. I think Marines are epic. It's just I have no interest in playing them when they're the big bad army, and if you win Marines, well done, you pointed and clicked. You didn't necessarily have any like real skill in what's going on. So wasn't going to play Marines during that period, but hopefully by the end of next year we'll have a Marine army as well as the Crons, the Knights. Got those Grey Knights to do. Shame there's no Grey Knight chaplain on bike yet. That'd be sick. Have ordered the new chaplain that's just come out, the special character style dude that they've done. That might end up in the Grey Knights army. It might end up as a giveaway. I don't know. Could be either one. So there we go. Quick couple of highlights around the base there. It's already picked out so much little detail, a lot more interest to what's going on. Now we just need to do a few bits on the pillar. So we've got a couple of like bulbous areas where the cork, being a real cork made out of actual cork and not plastic, and being a natural thing that someone sort of stamped out, has got its own unique bits of battle damage in it. So let's just hit some of these areas, make our pillar look a little bit more interesting than it previously was. So you look at this side, kind of flat and boring. Look at this side, already looking a bit more interesting just with those few brush strokes. Much, much, much better to work with. Now this mini is being entered into a painting contest, which obviously I'm fancying my chances with. We've done a lot of work on this guy. There's an Amsterdam Battle Brothers group which run tournaments out of, you've guessed it, Gloucester. No, Amsterdam, clearly. And they're running a painting contest. There's a couple of us that have entered. I think there's about 15, maybe 20 people that have so far gone in on it. And why don't you guys go and check them out on Instagram, Amsterdam Battle Brothers. You guys do a lot of painting, you know, and there's plenty of really good stuff we see in the whip on a regular basis. So why not put your name forward? if nothing else, one thing that I really like about painting contests is it pushes you to just go the extra mile on a mini, where it's just being a little bit more careful with your highlights, where it's trying a new technique that you haven't sort of mastered, or even just haven't tried yet. Because if nothing else, what you get out of a painting contest is feedback. So, hey, I'm entering the vehicle monster category with Magnus, alright? There might be second or third place prizes. I might not even place. There might be some amazing artists putting their name in the hat, coming out with some stuff that absolutely dwarfs Magnus. Maybe not in stature, because he's fucking gigantic, but in terms of skill and paint. But my point remains, you know, you're going to get some feedback. You're going to get the sort of drive to just push yourself a little bit more than you not ordinarily would. So there's loads of reasons to enter just for the fun of it. Certainly, I'm not entering with the expectation of winning, but certainly with this model, yeah, I feel confident of doing well with it. That's the best you can ever ask going into anything like that. But give it a go, guys. Go check out Amsterdam Battle Brothers on Instagram. Some of the guys from there are occasionally in this chat as well, so it's a community thing too, which is always good. Give it a go. What's the worst, right? You paint a mini that you're going to use in your army anyway, and you paint it really, really well. How is this a bad thing? So there's loads of extra bits that we could have highlighted on there, but we're keeping it relatively minimalist. Just getting those little bits in there to just give us a little bit more detail to go off of. Some extra lines of highlight to draw the eye to that. That part is done. We can put him down. That's ready for some pigments in a bit. Now we've got the big kahuna itself. Let's get some highlights on. We'll do the outside edge of pretty much all of this. What we won't do though is draw entire boxes, because I hate that shit, as you know. So we'll just do top and tail of the large sides. And we're just using the side of the brush. We've got some very thin paint. This is the final grey we use through the airbrush, so the colours, tones, the hues should match up relatively well. And obviously you've got to do this before you start putting the pigments down, because painting on top of loose pigment is just not on the cards. It's not good for anyone, right? Sergeant Craig, how you doing, man? Commissar Bob, no such thing, man. Like I said, paint something, get some feedback. That'll only help improve your painting. Of course, another thing that you can do to help improve your painting is sign up for some private tuition. I started doing some work in GIMP earlier on, designing a sort of flyer for Instagram, social media, all the usual bits that go alongside it, to try and arrange a few extra lessons. And I think what we'll probably end up doing is putting out like an introductory price. So people on stream, and maybe the first, I don't know, 10 people to sign up for lessons or whatever will get a lower price, because it's a good way to get started, right? Good community effort as well. So be on the lookout for that over the next week or so. We've had lots of consultation meetings with work at the moment, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done like off-stream stuff like these commands and so on. Would you need a webcam for private lessons? You don't need one, but I'm telling you now it helps, because if I can give you immediate feedback on what it is that you're doing, you're going to get so much more out of the session. Ask Rocky, ask our print you one, so Danny, you know, how they felt getting that instant feedback on their painting. I think that makes all the difference in the world. Otherwise, it's just sort of me sitting here painting something and you watching, and I can't really help you out so much. I can just demonstrate something until you've sort of got it. And I don't feel that's as useful. You could do it with your phone, if you've got a cell phone that's got a webcam and so on built into it, which I think pretty much all of them do these days. We could do it through like voice chat and you just sending me pictures, but that's still not going to be quite as good. So to get your real money's worth, you do want to be on a video chat of some description. But we do it over Discord. which is very easy for most people to navigate around. And just get yourself a little tripod for your phone, or stand it up on some books or something similar, and you'll be alright. So now we're moving on to the inside, so we'll leave that bit and just keep going around here. This has got a nice break in it, so we've got the extra detail there. And I want you guys to get like a mental image now of what this looks like without all of these highlights. You can start to see some of how it's going to look, just those little highlights there on the edges, but try and keep like this is what's going to be. Or if one of the mods can just screenshot this as it is now for me, and then pop it into Discord, we can come back with a finished screenshot after all the highlights are done. We can do a quick compare on stream. Just show the difference that these little highlights will make to the overall finished product. Commissar Bob, no worries, dude. Gotta run everything by the folks, man. Bellas, how you doing? Toonie Spruce, trust me, dude, I totally understand that. Alright. Let's get in here as well. This one's right up against the pillar with the blue flame on, so I don't need to do too much to that. So that's all the outside of our tiles done. Now let's start cutting into the inside parts of it. So we're just working lines up and down. I'm going to do the line that I can use my brush in this motion for all the way across. Then we'll flip it and do the same, and we'll go around in 4 sets till we've got all of these corners picked out with a highlight. Again, we're doing pretty much all of the short edge because it's so short that doing that and then that just looks weird with that small gap in the middle. Looks fine on a long edge, but not so good on the short edge. I'm also using a slightly older brush to do this with because obviously this is very textured, and it will start to damage your brush if you're doing this too often. So always good to have a decent but older brush, one that you wouldn't necessarily use for full detail work right off the bat. Put it into general because that'll be easier to find. This is highlighting, Arbellas. So this is edge highlighting, line highlighting, and we're just picking out prominent edges on all of this. Then we're going to go through each rotation so we can get most of these done. This is quite nice. We've got this nice little broken tile there, but that's all of that top line from this angle. Now if we spin it around a bit, then we'll do this line on the way through. So this one is kind of short, so we'll just get the majority of it. We've got a nice little break there which we'll highlight like so. This one again, we can probably get away with doing just the 2 ends. And this one as well, I feel. This one's quite short, so we'll just do the whole thing. This one we'll just do the ends as well. Got a nice break here. We can give a good little highlight all the way across that to really accentuate that gap. Never thought a plain grey undercoat could look so good. Messing around the marine. Nice. Make sure we can see at the end. Get it in the whip. Little long tile, so we just do those 2 ends. And then this as well. And you can see the pattern we're going through, right? It's all very simple, very straightforward, but look already at the change that you can see with just those highlights going down on the Mini. Now some of these are going to look a little bit bright in comparison to certain areas of the model, but that's where our weathering pad is going to come in later on. We're going to dull a lot of this down using those. And that's going to give a beautiful, somewhat realistic effect to our base. I know I paint almost all the time in a very cartoony, comic book style fashion, but seriously, having that little bit of realism on the base to ground everything, I think still works with my style. Let's start this side. Doesn't matter if we're going over green either, because that's where our green weathering powders will come in on those sections as well. Process of expanding my gym, but we'll 170 hunts and paint next ones that I've finished. There are a lot of hours to burn. Man in the gym. Dude, I'll bet. I still think that what you're doing is got to be one of the hardest things right now. Fucking crazy. My other half wants to start doing swimming again. She hasn't swam since pre-COVID. It helps her quite a lot with her just general like health and so on. She does yoga as well, and swimming's going to be really, really good for her. So hoping she can get that started again soon. Anyone in the sort of service industry when it comes to personal development, i.e. a gym or similar, health club, fitness studio, even personal trainers, you know. I really feel for all those guys right now. Right, last side, just got this one to do, and then that's the brickwork on the top finished off, and you'll see the difference when we get that comparison shot up in a bit. These are just quick highlights as well. There's nothing crazy going on here. None of this is particularly high skill. Just using a light brush pressure, which you should almost always be doing. There's very few times where you need to be heavy-handed with something. And just these quick, sketchy motions to give us these highlights. Super, super easy. A little bit more difficult doing edge highlights on something that's got like a weird surface, like maybe you particularly like the heavy metal style of painting, which is not necessarily my bag, but literally different strokes for different folks on that. And some of the edge highlights that they do when painting marines are particularly tricky because you're tracing around areas of armor that may be a little concave or convex, and as a result it's just hard work. But this, just straight edges, this is a perfect way to practice your brush control, to build on that skill and get yourself ready for some of the more tricky things to paint in that edge highlight style. So that is where we're at now. Let's go to Discord, hunt down that pic. Here we are. Let's try and orient this in the same way as that so you can get a direct comparison. So we're kind of there. Right, so here's what it looks like now. Here's what it looked like then. So you can see there we've got texture. We've got those little bits of darker shadow. We've got a few highlights we did with the airbrush around the edges of these tiles. But for the sake of, if you weren't streaming and talking, even on a surface this large, say maybe 3 or 4 minutes work, that's what you've got. Huge difference. Everything here, kind of monotone. Everything here, you've got individual tiles again. We're back to that delineated, sharp edges. It's beautiful. Big difference, very small amount of work. Now I know we've missed a couple of tiles that are the underlay for this. We've got these around here, and of course we've got this edge to do as well, the vertical. So let's just make sure we hit each of these just a touch. And that means that from this angle, we're now getting that detail snap back into focus on these tiles. You don't need to do every line. Like there are some, like this one round here, there's a lot of like texture from the ground texture there, so I've not bothered with that. I'll tell you what, let me show you something. So we're working the brush from this angle to make sure we can get a nice easy edge highlight on stuff, right? This pillar is right in the way, making it difficult, but those are super simple to do, right? Now I'm going to show you how to edge highlight it when you're not working on the angle. So I'm going to try and paint this highlight in freehand, essentially. This is much harder, requires a lot more brush control, takes longer, and you're probably going to make a mistake here and there as well. So always tilt the model in a position that's going to give you the easiest highlight and less effort expended. Let's do a quick one here because we've got this nice chip. That one's ended up a little bit thick, but we can repair that with some pigments in a bit. So we'll just do all those. Anything here? No, just the sides of these blocks. So let's hit all these little corners. Just do a quick highlight there. And again, this is just serving to give us that little bit of focus for, honestly, only a minute or so's work. Way, way, way better effect than if you dry brush this. So let's turn it round so we can get the other side to those. I've just painted my thumb instead of the mini, so that was ideal. Let's come in and hit those edges on this side now. I missed one before. There we are. And we've got a few just in here. I'm going to wash the brush a little bit. It's getting a little bit dog-eared already. So who's been painting at home? Commissar Bob's working on a marine right now. What's everybody else working on? I've got a load of Necron stuff on the way. I need to start assembling as well. From Necronathon 2. That's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. But there we go. That's our little tiled patio of Magnus. If we just grab our little pillar back, pop that in. There's that bonus detail we didn't have before. Alright? Not much work. Easy peasy. Ket's doing some Blood Angel toners. Awesome. Jaeger got some knits assembled. They're the current grey High Fleet, by the sounds of that. It's okay, dude. It's okay. Judgment Day. No. Necronathon 2, Judgment Day. Definitely Judgment Day. Got to get all the Terminator references, man. Right, I'm going to do almost the entire length. Width, I guess. Depth, perhaps, of these steps. No, that would be width. Depth is this line here. And then on the front, similar to what we've done on these tiles, we're just going to do the corners of it. Help draw the attention towards those. Now, these steps are the one thing that I might have considered dry brushing on the mini, because look at the texture that they've got on them. But that's why we gave everything that quick wash with the brown through the airbrush. That's why we're going to use weathering powders instead. Just help cement in some variation in those little grooves, in that texture. Going to want to make these a little thicker. Just for ease of seeing them. There we go, they stand out a lot more now. Let's get this side of the steps in. You had to ask, mate, Electric Boogaloo is like the obvious choice for anything that's number 2. Gotta be asked. Okay, just got a little corner on there. I want to just pop out a little bit more than currently got. Let's do the vertical highlights on this side now. Can I get to that one? This was tricky, but yes, we can. Without painting the pillar as well, so even better. Let's do the rest of the steps, then we'll come back, we'll hit the pillars with a couple of highlights. Obviously, it's going to be a load on the top of here. They're going to do one final highlight pass on the grey, and that's just going to be us looking for additional details. So there's going to be a few areas where we've got some of the pillars, we've got this battle damage that's just in there. There's going to be a few areas on the tile, like this, for instance, where we got with the pigment. We could just put some scratches in here and there to, again, give us a little bit more of a worn effect on this for not a lot of additional time investment. Most of painting, if I'm honest, there's a difference between a mini that's like tabletop standard and character standard is just a few extra brush strokes, a little bit more time. Maybe if you took your basic sort of method of painting, say an intercessor, and then spent an additional hour painting little bits of it, maybe that would be all the difference it takes to go from standard marine to character. Then obviously you've got a load more details on all the characters, so you know that's perhaps a little extra time, but just a basic paint job doesn't need much more really when you think about it. And the best thing about the hobby that we've got is you don't need to do it all at once. You know, you can get a load of stuff done. Cool, that's tabletop ready. We're good to go. Go and play in your tournament. Go and play your games. Get those 10 points for painted. Then come home. Celebrate your inevitable victory. Inevitable. With just a few extra brush strokes. Get them models looking sharp rather than dumb. Maladeus, how you doing, man? We're covering that base in coffee and candy. I nearly covered it in coffee earlier on today. No, it wasn't today, it was yesterday. I had a coffee spill on the desk. It was disastrous. Fortunately, didn't hit anything important. None of Magnus got turned into caffeinated. As for the candy, no promises. Damn, I ruined myself. So we got Voodoo Yaz doing some Stormcast, Steelheart Champions, and Fast Riders. Nice, that's the card game one. Shadespire. Awesome, dude. I do like playing that. I did get it on Steam, but I haven't put much time into it. I don't really have much time to put into video games. I'll have less soon, so... Let's get these highlights in. Turn it around so we've got an easier shot at this. This is where learning that brush control comes in. Being able to use the brush at like a distance rather than always up close is definitely a valuable skill to train yourself in. Not every miniature has got easy to access armor panels and so on. There you go. Look at the difference in those steps. Stand out so much more. 5 minutes work. That's it. Jacob says, got to try and procrastinate less. Got unexpectedly furlough starting today. Oh, shit, dude. Hey, at least it's furlough. You know, are they going to top up your pay, or are you, like, trying to balance that out yourself? But do something with it. Like, obviously you've got chores to do, and you've got maybe, like, whatever else to do as well. But just set yourself a target of, I'm just going to paint for an hour a day. So day one, I've primed everything in my hour. I'm good. I can chill. I can do whatever. Day two, I've got my first base coats down on this unit. We're done for a bit. Oh, Ogrekin. We didn't get an alert for this. That might still be coming. Convert his Prime Gaming sub to Tier 1 sub. Absolute boss. Thank you very much, dude. Much appreciated. Costa Bob said, I find scheme I like better for my BA success than I've already painted. Okay. That sucks, but it is what it is. Jay, that sucks, dude. But like I said, try and get into the habit of just like, right, every day, 1 hour of painting. Here we go. Bam, bam, bam. Get that done. Right, pillars. That's the next step. And then, like I said, we've got one more highlight pass to do, just picking out extra bits of detail here and there before we finish with the highlighting. And it's pretty much all about pigments at that point. I love pigments. And if you're having issues with your Tyranny scheme, mate, hit me up on Discord. We'll have a chat. So on this one, we've got these cracks to do. I've just done a highlight. This is going to sound dumb as fuck, right? I think there's ever so slightly more in it currently for a Prime sub, but it's all good, dude. Certainly, if you've got Prime, just use Prime. Get it for free. Yeah? Everyone's going through a tough time at the moment. Get your subs in for free if you can. I appreciate the support either way. So what I've just said was, this is going to sound dumb, but if you alter the angle of your brush stroke, you can make your highlights thicker on one side or the other, right? So let's just wash the brush quick and I'll explain in a little bit more detail. So let's say my hand is the thing I want to highlight, right? And this is the edge you want to highlight. Normally, you'd put your brush sort of 45-degree angle and do a line along the side of it. Let's do it this way around, right? So that's the highlight that you would do. 45 degrees odd. There we go. We're in a position that just hurts my hand, but that's what you'd do. Once you've done that, though, you might find that you need a highlight that's slightly thicker on the top so you can see it better because of the angle of the model. So instead of doing 45 degrees, tilt it slightly further that way and get more of a highlight on that top surface. Equally, you can thin it down a lot by just bringing your brush this way and just touching the edge of it that way. So changing the angle of the brush means a lot for the highlight. And I'll try and demonstrate that on this side of that pillar's crack now. So we'll start off with a really, really steep highlight. So I'm working way past sort of maybe even 60 degrees to the mini here. And we'll paint this highlight in. Now from the angle I'm looking at it from, because I'm looking directly at the highlight, that looks really good. It looks like it's well highlighted. Certainly from the camera, top down, you can see it there really easily. If I do this though, that highlight's nearly invisible because most of it is on the previous surface. But the world's straightest fingers, I haven't. They're twisty AF. Maybe not on this hand. Little fingers are always a little bit fucked, but they tend to twist a little bit towards the ends. I've never bothered looking that hard at my fingers. You can make the jokes if you want, guys. I'm not going to be embarrassed. So now we'll do the highlight, but from a much more shallow angle from this side, right? And you'll see that instantly thickens up a little. So think about that when you're painting maybe like armor panels on a tank. You need those edge highlights in there. Is my brush at the right angle to get the highlight on the side that I need it to be on? Those little things, they sound dumb. Sounds like it's completely self-explanatory, and of course everyone knows that, but I'm aware that there's occasionally a few things that just through habit we don't really think about, and that's one of them. Let's get most of this top edge. Just do a little bit there. Again, this is just a tiny bit of extra work that you can do that has a massive effect on the mini that you're painting. Super good. So here we have to be a little bit more careful. The edge is very, very rounded. So using very light brush pressure, we're just picking out a few of these little details, but on the edge there, just essentially freehanding that line in just to help give that the illusion of a sharp edge. There isn't really one, but by doing that, we're just pretending that there is. Oh, Christ! How you doing, champ? Let's get some love for Orchrist. Awesome streamer. Although I haven't seen your streams lately. You did say the other day that you'd had some downtime. Are you coming back soon? Ogakin, how you doing? And thank you for switching up that sub earlier on, dude. Really appreciate that. There was no alert for it, but it did give us a notification in chat. So I'm not sure if there just isn't one for the conversion in Streamlabs, or if I have to set one up and I haven't. Maybe I've missed it. Rootang! Holy shitballs, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. How are you? About 3 hours away from your PC. Oh shit. All right. Well, that'll explain it then. I mean, if you started the stream... No, that's the wrong way around. I was going to say if you started the stream now and ran, maybe you could sort it out, but it doesn't work that way, does it? Again, just picking up a couple of little details on the sides of this. Same as we did on that initial pillar we worked on. Just to bring those little points of interest up. Anything that protrudes that's definitely pillar and not dirt, we're giving a quick highlight if we can. Anything that's got some significant battle damage, we're giving a highlight to enhance the 3D effect. Doing a 40k RTT on Saturday. Oh, Saturday. RJ222, thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to the stream. Janelle, I am super jelly. I want to do an RTT on Saturday. I am instead filming a battle report on Saturday. So you guys have had a couple of times suggested, you know, I want to see you play 40k, Jay. You know, see if you're as good as you say you are all the time. I say it all the time, I mean, most of the time. We occasionally talk about fainting and food, rather than just how good I am at 40k. You'll be able to watch, you'll be able to find out. And I'm playing against a particularly nasty looking Iron Hands list. I'm assuming that's like Dragon Star. An RTT is a Rogue Trader tournament, and it basically means it's a small ITC event. ITC being the independent tournament circuit, and it's normally somewhere between 16 and 22-ish players for a 1 day of gaming. Normally, in fact, I think it's a mandatory minimum of 3 games spent over 1 day, but it can be more than 3 games. You can have, I think, a 4-game RTT as well. It's just a small tournament, basically. So an RTT is Road Trader Tournament. GT Grand Tournament. Major is... So Grand Tournament is, I want to say, 26 to 30... No. God. 26 to 58, 56. And then a Major is 58 upwards. I think. Oh, Commissar Bob. That sucks, man. Unlucky. I missed my game on Friday for exactly the same reason. My opponent, as we were setting up, had to go and disappear because he found out that he'd been exposed to someone that was potentially contagious and had the virus. He's like, well, I gotta go. Better safe, you know. Turns out negative on his test, so we could have played, but it was the right thing to do. It just sucked for us both. Never mind, though. There you go. There's all of that pillar done. You can see so much more detail on it now than we had before. It's also helping to bring out that green that we put down on the top, that little filter that went through the airbrush as well. So well worth doing. Oaken, dude. That's rough. Hopefully they're okay and it's not anything that's particularly life-threatening, but they're in the best place they could be if it is serious. Right, big pillars. This is going to be tricky just because this is hard to hold, but here you go. Let's get these in. So we start off on the top. There's loads of little bubbles, basically, that came in from the casting for this. You can see some of them quite clearly on camera. We're not going to highlight every single one of them because we take all stream just doing that if we did. We want to get into the weathering powders. We want to get into putting the tufts down within the next, say, 20 minutes or so. Because that's going to be where a lot of the effect comes from the base. Is when that sort of almost photorealism in some places is going to come up. So we really want to make sure that we've got towards that ASAP. Also, I'm really excited to play with my new toys from Rival Crafts, especially Jay's Special Brew, my very own 10mm tufts. Bespoke made, you know. Not the first time you've had that combo with a man, is it? Dear, oh dear, mate. It's not. But not because I thought I was going to come down with something. Let's just say, when wrestling, it was very easy for all of us to pull. And there were some things that you shouldn't have pulled. Oh shit, dude. Do you know, you should definitely get tested if you think there's a possibility of it. Just for your own safety, let alone everybody else's. I mean, that should be a consideration as well, but you know, this is a horrible thing, and it needs to be taken very seriously. Right, so here we've got a little breaks in our edge highlight because of the damage to the pillar that's sort of cast in there. So we're just highlighting some of those as we do that vertical. Nice little broken line there. Yeah, and if nothing else as well, you can go to the event and say, look, you know, I've had my test, you know, I failed my test, I'm not positive for it, and have no issues about playing. My buddy gets tested, mandatory testing through his job twice a week, and his test on the Friday came back absolutely all A-OK. So we figured we were okay to play, and it turns out we still were, but we didn't know that, and so worth doing. I went to a pub lunch with a friend on Wednesday, someone I haven't seen in ages. She's just left her job. She used to work with me in the same department. She then left my company in, I want to say August. It might have been September though. I think it was September. I think she handed a notice in August to be an actress. I don't know if anyone here watches Sex Education, which is a Netflix show. She's in that. She is in the background of a lot of their stuff. She's like one of the pupils at the school rather than being somebody that's like got a lot of speaking lines and is a main part. But she's gone from someone that was like, yeah, we'll call you maybe once every couple of months and you'll just stand in the background, to being like one of the core people on the extras set of the cast, shall we say, rather than the main group. So I'm super happy for her. I got to have a chat. You love that show? Awesome. You might have seen her. Her name's Grace. She is she's got like masses and masses of curly black hair. She's black and she's got this fucking enormous hair. And yeah, she's been in season 2 a lot. She's filming season 3 now. She spends about 3 days a week or so on set with the guys. I'm going to have to turn this way now so we can get to that line a little easier. Just going to touch up some of this. When is season 3 coming out? They're filming it now, so I'm going to guess maybe 6 months or so. I don't know, to be honest, mate. She's also done a thing with Wallace and Gromit. You guys know who Wallace and Gromit is? Or are, rather, I should say, and speak real English. The Aardman Studios animated characters, the claymation style guys. She went for a job where she was going to be the very first like real person to interface with the Wallace and Gromit universe. So everything in their universe is claymation, stop motion animation, and Grace is going to be the first person ever to be a real person alongside them. and I thought it was going to be a movie. When she was talking to me about it, I genuinely thought it was going to be a movie you'd be able to go see it in a theatre or whatever. That's not the case. It's actually an app. So it works, from what I can understand, a little bit like Pokemon Go, but I never played it, where you sort of go and do tasks, and it's all augmented reality. So you are going to watch cutscenes, basically, of Grace giving, like, vlogs and so on, and interviews, I think, with Wallace and Gromit. It's going to be fucking awesome. I have not. I didn't have to sign one, and she can tell me what she's working on freely. I just can't tell you any details of what it actually is going to contain. She definitely hasn't shown me any of it either. Like, totally definitely has not shown me any of it. But the app is called the Big Fix Up, I think. And you can pre-order it on the Play Stores and all that sort of shit now if you want. Yeah, Ket's, like, it is, but, you know, that's unfortunately what happens sometimes, you know. Pinewood Studios had a similar thing, right? With some of the James Bond stuff years and years and years and years and years ago. Pinewood Studios is about half hour's drive from where I live as well, so that's always cool. Right, so we're just picking up some of, not all of, just a couple of bits here and there. Certainly anything that's a bit more pronounced, like this right at the bottom, we'll get a highlight on. Some of the larger sort of divots in this, but just a few highlights to pick out some of that detail. Nothing crazy. You were in a movie. Awesome, dude. What were you in? I'm on IMDb, actually, as well. So, hashtag famous. Totally not famous. I was in the pilot of a zombie TV series. So you can go and search Jay Middlecote on IMDb and you'll find me. Could do way too many on this side, but we'll just try and limit ourselves a little bit. It's the thing, once you start like getting carried away with highlights, it's very difficult to stop because suddenly everything needs a highlight. So just put the brakes on a little bit. So you do a couple. Just try and limit ourselves to like 5 or 6 per facing of the pillar, or even less on this one. There's not so much texture on that side. But look at the difference between this pillar now and this one. This one looked cool before we did that one. And now, you know, this is yesterday's news. This is garbage. This is shit. This is cool. Driving a Chevy Blazer across a shot outside the Troubadour. Okay. This sounds cool. Sarah's an extra in a German film filmed over on St. Michael's Mount. Nice. I like St. Michael's Mount. I haven't been there in a very long time. Do you know, you and me both, man. Mostly because it means I've stopped painting white for the bloody wings. Although we've got an apothecary on, we're doing a Primaris apothecary on bike conversion. Just to future-proof the regular apothecary on bike, and to make him look a bit cooler with the new Outrider bikes. And so that's going to be a load of white to be painted as well. So that's going to be fun. Using the Primaris Apothecary bits alongside the regular Outrider bits, and then a little bit of conversion Kung Fu, and hopefully ended up with something that looks pretty baller by the end of it. And Outrider does just about fit on the new oval bike bases as well, which is nice. It's not a lot of play on the front and back, but it does just about fit. So we can get it on the right base, and then assuming the Primaris version does get its own Outrider version bike, we can just start the base off and do it again. Pretty sure it's your own fault you're painting white. Yeah, it is. Yeah, totally is. But it's worth it. It's super, super worth it. Because how pretty is this dude right now? Just, oh, so nice. That blue, that red, those pearlescent wings. Got all of these bits of painting in red as well, which if I fuck that up, I will cry for hours. We're definitely not doing that on stream. If I fuck it up, I'll do an Instagram post so you can watch me cry. There you go. Like New Outer Bikes had an army that was 46 to the Forge worth. Oh, holy shit, man. D-Duty, thank you very much. And also Hicko. Much love, dude. How are you doing anyway, man? You found much time to paint now? Right. Last pillar. I did say what feels about 20 minutes ago. We should be painting the pigments on in 20 minutes, but obviously we have drastically overestimated how long some of this is going to take because I'm gassing. Not too late, but you still have... But do you still have BRMB radio? I don't even know what that is, actually. But that's cool. Used to be in the flying I plane a lot doing the traffic reports, which, holy shit. So you were in the plane, like, oh, there's an accident on the M25, that kind of thing, or... Were you flying the plane? Can you fly a plane, Sarah? I already think you're one of the coolest human beings I know. If you can fly a plane as well, you may as well just join the A-team. Must be the pillar of that community. Ogrekin. Ogrekin. Oh. If even the mods are like, no, then you know it was a bad joke. But I actually quite like that one. That was an acceptable dad joke to me. So these highlights are a little bit more tricky because obviously we're having to sort of paint on the angle rather than paint with the brush at an angle. But again, you know it's going to be worth it. Just that one highlight. It makes so much difference. Toony Sprues is like, ugh, why didn't I think of that 20 minutes ago? Des, can you do me a favour? I'm legitimately worried about forgetting those commands on Sunday. Can you message me again? I don't want to drink more habanero sauce. It's fucking hot. It's delicious. And I'm going to need that tequila afterwards. But, oh, my days. It hurts twice. Flying over Birmingham was awesome. No, you didn't fly the plane. Well, you're only almost cool enough to join the A-team then. You'll have to just live with that. Feel the burn. Feel the something, mate. Commissar Bob, how dare you? How dare you? I thought we were friends. Oh, shit balls. Des, help a brother out, alright? I suppose flying over Birmingham is infinitely preferable to being actually in Birmingham, though. Although you have to see a lot of Birmingham at that point. Maybe it's not. Maybe it isn't. But go you, Sarah the Eye in the Sky. No, we've got to do these. These are too large to leave unhighlighted. There we go. Petals of Custard. This is a base for Magnus, the Primarch Magnus. Do you want to see Magnus? He's a weapon. although his weapon isn't attached. There he is, dude. Magnus the red / blue / Magnus the ginger. Magnus the pearlescent. Painting him myself. Dude, you're in for a treat. He's a fucking gorgeous model. Just do it in sub-assemblies. All of the wings and everything breaks down. The only things that are stuck to that model right now are the things that are finished. So we did the sort of mannequin of Magnus, the base thing itself. And then basically started on all of his accessories. And there's not much left to do. There's only, I think there's 6 things that don't have paint on at all, other than an undercoat. And they're the easier things, like horns, a book, and some scroll work. That's it. So we've done most of the hard stuff now. But he's such a great mini. I've had loads of fun painting it, despite breaking that root that's on the base there, which some unassembly may be required. That's a shame. That's the first thing that's broken on the base. So let's hope it's also the last thing that's broken on the base. Where do we get to here? But yeah, despite obviously the wings have been a bit of a drag, haven't loved painting those. They've been a pain. Phoenician means red man. Really? What, like Ghostface Killer and Method? Nobody saw the joke going in that direction, did they? Only reason I know that is because there was a Wu-Tang Clan fighting game on the N64 and I played the shit out of it. That was an epic fighting game. Don't know any of their songs though. No disassemble. Absolutely. 2D sprues, you're a spiritual being of the backlog, and bane or hobbyist now fear me. I feel you are drunk on megalomania at this point, and so pour me a glass because you've had too much. Go. Last couple of facings on this pillow. We're about halfway through it, 3/4 nearly. There's 8 sides. I could just count them and actually know, but that would be too much like hard work. Music, please continue. Oh, behave. That was the root that held it all together. The root of all evil, that was, mate. Those wings put the pain in painting. Yes, they do, mate. Yes, they do. Puddles of Custard, thank you for the follow. Oh, I totally got that reference as well. No disassemble Johnny 5. Nearly there. Just these 3 facings to do, 2 more vertical highlights, and then a little bit of just under highlighting some of this wear and damage, and then it's tufts time, and then it's pigments time. Yeah, boy. Phoenicians had a Greeks called the Canaanians, Lebanese, Palestinians in ancient times. So they used red for their clothing. They were called redmen. Fair. Stuck in my guard, a marine and whip. I'll put the marine in the game when I fish it. Nice, man. Looking forward to it, dude. So we'll be doing the whip at the end of the stream. Exclamation point Discord to join the community. If you're not already a member, then come and join. Come chill out, say hi. You can put your work in progress stuff in there. We can put it up on stream later on. We can all have a chat about how great it is, because I'm sure it's going to be banging. And give you some feedback if necessary. Or if wanted. Okay. You're a very well-read man, Comradeson. I get the feeling that you're someone that likes learning things. I think you're full of interesting facts. So keep them coming, dude. Alright, so the last upright, so that's just some under highlights to exaggerate some of this damage. And again, look at how quick this is. This is just these tiny little highlights. You don't even need magnificent brush control. You just need to keep the brush pressure light. But it doesn't matter if the line's wavy. None of these little bits of damage are going to be straight lines. You know. Right, we've got this massive sort of crack in the pillar here, so just get some highlights around that. Don't need to do all of it. Again, doesn't matter if they're a little bit scratchy. I'm nearly done on this step now. There's actually a shade of purple, but translation that making it red, it comes from a pigment taken from sea snails in Lebanon. Holy shit. Damn. So now if I'm stuck for red paint, I know cochineal, which is crushed up dried insect husks, I think, and Lebanese sea snails. Right, there we go. That is all the highlighting done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly show this in comparison to that still that we did earlier on. I think we were about at this-ish angle in that picture. Not quite, but I want to get all the pillars on screen. So look at how it looked before we started doing all the highlights. Look at the steps, look at the pillars especially. And now look at that. Yeah, we spent an hour on stream doing this little bit of painting. Realistically, you could do that in 25 minutes if you weren't streaming. Super easy, super chill. Massive difference in finished product. Yeah? It's exactly the same. 2 Christ or more. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. That's enough from you. Right. Now, let's get these tufts on the go. So this is Jay's Special Brew from Rival Crafts. Not Summer Meadow, and not 6mm either. These are way taller. These are the 10mm tufts. I got Sarah to make up some specifically in a dark green color scheme. So these are really, really tall and bushy. It's exactly what we wanted for this project, because we've got so much height on the base that you need something to go alongside that. So if you ever want something specifically made up for a project you're doing, whether it's an army, I think I had 6 sets of this made up in the shorter 6mm version for the Necrons, because I liked the color. I wanted it to be a little bit more green to contrast better with the red, but these go from that really, really nice bright green at the top there through to a nice sort of darker, richer green, as you can see from this side. Now these tufts, you can glue them down with super glue or whatever. However, I have found that the Rival Crafts adhesive is actually really, really good. There's almost nothing about their tufts actually that I dislike. They're just better than pretty much everything else. Let's pop this away so we don't end up using that accidentally to put some pigment on. It's a good wash after this. Now, when you're placing tufts on a base, whether it's a big scenic project like this, Nick McDade, peace out, dude. I didn't even know you were here. Or whether it's just like a single mini, like you just got your normal Space Marine going on or whatever, and you just want to put something to give him some height on his base. You need to think about the placement of them. There's very few times you'll ever go to like a flat grassy field and there's just big clumps of foliage stuck out of the ground. It just doesn't really happen that way. It does happen, but it's really, really rare that that's the case. All right? So what I want you to do when you're basing your miniatures is start to really think about where everything's going to be so that you know where your tufts can go. Think about it from the perspective of, at some point in the story, the narrative of this thing, there has been a seed that has been blown around, it's finally got somewhere, it's found a little crevice that's got some water, it's allowed it to germinate and become a plant and grow into this like bunch of grass. So places like the inside of this pillar are really good for it. Anywhere against some of these hard edges where there's going to be a little bit of shelter from the elements to allow it to grow is going to be really good for it. It's got to be a happy little tuft, Ogre King. You're absolutely right. So with a pair of tweezers, just grab one and then cement it into place. I like to just sort of press it in a little bit, make sure that's in there nice and tight, and it won't come off. This is a really... I forgot that wasn't stuck down. There we go. It's a really nice bright green. It's going to match with the green that we're going to use for some of our pigments. It's going to contrast well against the brown. And when we get a load of this down, we put Magnus. It's predominantly really bright blue, really bright red. It's going to really just pop off the base all the way through for that. The Changer of Ways. Mate, with that Zench name, you are in absolutely the right stream. Here is your Demon Primarch speaking directly to you. So this green, let's just lay it against Maggie. Yeah, massive difference to that red. Remember the red we shaded with blue from the workup to help it sort of gel a little bit more with the skin tones we've got for him. This is designed to be the contrast to that, to help it pop out. Both the base and the tufts we're putting down here, and of course the miniature itself. So let's get some of these in here. We're not going to go too mad. We're not going to use this whole sheet, that's for sure. But we're going to be pretty liberal with our tufts. But again, always making sure they're in places that make sense. So we don't have any hanging down from underneath. That just wouldn't look right. We might get a couple around... Oh, this one's attached to his mate. There you go. A couple around the base of this pillar, for instance. There's a reason we're doing this before we do our pigments. Does anyone know what that might be? Sarah, you definitely came back at the right time. Clearly off filling out her application to join the A-team. Just got told off by the other half for looking at paint. Tell your other half to come and join the stream, mate. I will talk her round. Or him round. Them round. I'll talk them round. So, look at that vibrant green on there now. Really starting to come into its own. This is great. Lucky accident. Mate, how you came into this world is none of my business, alright? Changer of Ways, thank you for that follow. Also, a lucky accident, if it's happy, is a serendipity, which is my favourite words. Polly, how you doing? Waiting for gloss varnish to dry until tomorrow. We'll try my first try at big oil washes. Just got your paints. Awesome, dude. Fantastic. Again, let's go into the corners of this pillar. This little 2mm looking amazing little space fillers. They're great. We haven't got into the super tiny tufts yet. I put them here. So we've got some really, really small ones. We can use these as like lichen or moss if we need to as well. But we're going to see what we can get up to with just this for now. And then bring some of those in later on. Ooh. So again, can anyone work out why we're putting the tufts down before we use the weathering powders? Any ideas? She's gone to bed, otherwise I would. Oh, dude. Get the stream up on your phone, take it into the bedroom. Let's not go down that route, actually. It's going to get messy. Hello, Mrs. Katz. These are the tall grass. The very tall grass. Here's a reference what you did up for my Noga bodyguard. Awesome, dude. Another one in here. But no, loving these tall grasses. They're epic. Now what we're going to do... I've just pulled some of the grass off that one, so we use a different one. Just take one of these. Jam it in that gap. Because I know from having a patio that usually is overgrown, that happens. That's a real thing. Cypher212PL, thank you for the follow. Pigment will also go over the tufts. 2 cry some more. Winner! If you put pigments over the tufts, it helps bed them in, helps make them look a bit more like they belong. I think one of Magnus' feet goes here, otherwise I'd put a tuft in. Well, fuck it, we can put the tuft in anyway. And if he's stepping on the grass, he's a demon Primarch of the fucking changer of ways. He doesn't care about no grass. Sorry, Sarah, but Magnus is probably going to tread on that tuft. Yeah, the scale of the base is clearly going to put things off. That's why it had to be the 10 mil. There you go. Looking good so far. Now we're using the smallest ones. I almost always buy the mixed tufts. So in the mixed ones, you get 3 different like diameters of tuft, as you can see. And we're sticking to the smaller ones for now because we can bulk it up if we need to, but I don't want to chop down any of the larger ones unless we absolutely have to. Dry pigments, not to be confused with wet pigments, might weaken the adhesive, and also it's supposed to be dust. Yes, don't get it confused with the wet pigments. You're never going to let that one go, are you? Equally, wet pigment, just paint. Gonna do different colours? No, we're pretty much sticking to this actually. There's a lot going on the base already. If we did loads of different colours or loads of different variations of green on the tufts, I think it would just look a little too much. That's what the pigments are for though. They're going to change the hues on bits of this here and there in a nice subtle fashion. So we can get away with just sort of one version of the foliage going in. We might use these little 2mm ones, perhaps. They're a lighter green, so it's not set in stone that we're going to use them. But That's probably enough. Certainly from this aspect of it, that's any more than that, I think we'd probably get into the realms of it just being a grassy thing rather than anything else. Let's look from this side. We're going to get a little bit growing just from the step. Tucked in down there. We'll do one here. Where's the base from? It's custom built, so believe it or not, the bit that I'm holding right at the bottom is a 100mm base. This was custom built by a guy called Damien Pedley. You can find on Instagram under Damien Pedley. And he basically built everything out of sheets of cork. Cast the pillars, cast the tiles, cast the steps, set them all in this massive amount of textured paint. There's roots, as you can see, on the underside as well. This is a marvelous, marvelous thing. So reach out to him on Instagram and give him some love if you want to. Certainly gets credited a lot, and we're going to have a command for him by Sunday, or because I know I need to do these commands, I've set myself the task of doing it, or a forfeit will happen, which is that I will drink a double shot of habanero sauce and then follow it up with a double shot of tequila at the start of Sunday's stream. So if you'd like to see a grown man cry a little bit, Jay, they've basically taken a Henry Hoover and just dumped it out, and that's his voice. So you kind of want to see that. I would rather get the commands done than do that, but I know that, like I said, if I don't do it, then I'm probably not going to get the commands done. So we have to have a forfeit to make it happen. Right, there we go. Let's just grab the top of this again. See where that's... Wrong way around. See where that sits. It does just cover that tuft, so it looks like it's poking out from underneath. That's totally fine. And we've just got this little crevice up here we can put one in, and then I think we'll call it done on these. I'll have a look at the other smaller tufts. Let's see if there's any real mileage in getting those on here as well. But look at that, we had a massive sheet's worth. We used almost all of the smaller panels. We've got a load of coverage on that. So these sheets go a long way. It's a really, really good buy. And I think even the tallest ones are only like £6 for the sheet. So exclamation point tufts, exclamation point rival. If you need any kind of static grass tufts for your basing, even custom made ones like these were, Jake's Special Brew, check out Rival Crafts. Use that discount code Mohawk for 6% off your order. Or do what I do and spend shitloads and use Save 10 instead. I think my average order from Rival Crafts is about £35. And it's very easy to do that. Right, let's get some of the really diddy ones out of this. This is super, super small. As you can see, it's a slightly different color. Slightly brighter. Let's just get a couple down. To provide a little bit of variation in our vegetation, but not a lot. Not a lot. We want to keep that darker green pretty much throughout, but these would be great. Like some of the steps like this. I say like this, you can't see it. I'm going to put that down again. Wraith 1 UK. We are building the base for Magnus the Red, who is nearly complete now. Here he is. His weapon hasn't been attached. We've got some horns to do, both helmet, nipple. We've got some gold bits for his armor to do, and the ones for the armor panels for his wings. But there he is. There he is. I wanted you to put some in the cracks. You're gonna make me blush. I prefer no bush in the cracks, thank you. Again, we're using the super small versions of this. This is the the smallest diameter tuft. Got you. Get a little one on there. We might just call it a day at that. No. Where was that fucking gigantic crater? Nice, like that. Landing strip, no wrong with that. Any more of those? Just this. Let's just get one in there. Right, we're done with the tufts. So very overgrown. Got lots of green and brown, very natural tones to the base. You're absolutely right, dude. That was a step we missed earlier on. We started to provide some there. But our weathering powder is going to pick up a lot of that. The steps have got a lot of texture. We've also got like a grain on it. And that's what our weathering powders are going to help pick out. So they will have some weathering on. But otherwise, it's mostly just overgrown. This bit up here obviously is a bit more cracked. Pillars obviously a bit more cracked. If I think it needs it, I'll come back and do it afterwards. I understand what you're saying. It's a valid point to make. But I think in the weathering pigments we'll do a good enough job of highlighting what we need to on those. So there's our base. Let's just hold this in one hand and try and get a shot of, like, we're kind of there-ish Magnus to the base. So you can see that every part of the base we've just done serves to contrast to Magnus so that he stands out over the base. This enormous, very fucking heavy base that we've got here only serves to draw the eye even more to the man himself. Sometimes you want to do a base that complements your miniature, so everything sort of has like one hue to the whole thing. With this, I want to go absolutely the other way. This should be something that is very restrained, very natural, absolutely different to him. The one exception to that will be that this flaming orb that we've got that will sit just up here will be very bright blue to help bring everything together and sort of tune you into the whole finished piece. Right, for weathering pigments, you need some shitty brushes. So here's one. I buy these by like the pack of 50 or so from Amazon for like a tenner. And they come in different sizes, and some of them are even like weird shapes. That one, rock solid for some reason. Oh, that was got used for gloss varnishing. That's why. And these brushes are not good. They're designed for like children to do painting projects and not ruin or kill anything. So don't worry about using decent brushes for this because we're about to ruin them. Let's get a glove on because this gets messy. Now this is the other thing when using weathering pigments. This shit gets everywhere. You will piss off the wife or your mum or whoever else is in the house if you do this on like a white tablecloth or something like that. So do not do that. Make sure you're somewhere you can clean down properly afterwards. My desk will get a proper scrub after doing this because it will be all over. So bear that in mind. As the pack of 22 quid, there you go. Yeah, I'm getting the mask. Don't you worry, it's literally right here. I have an allergy to dust, which makes doing stuff like this on a small scale no real issue. Doing stuff like this on a large scale means that I get basically like sinus issues and a sort of front face hangover sort of feel for 24 hours or so. It's such a pain in the ass. So I wear a little mask for this. This is just the one that I wear out now because COVID. So here we go. Oh, it's still got a little ear holder thing. Don't want those. My face is too big. Oh, this one's smaller than the last one. Damn, maybe I did need those. Where's the other mask? Okay, upstairs. That'll do. It's a barrier enough. Will be okay. So let's get to it. Let's grab our pigments and work out what we're going to go with. I do need that green one, which is the Vallejo one. That's not it. That's the one. So the only non-rival crafts pigment we're going to use is this faded olive green from Vallejo. This is much more green than anything else that we've got made. I'm not taking the hot sauce up the nose. That's a no. We're not doing snooters at all. So we've got green, we've got black, we've got some various dark reddish browns. We then start working to the mid browns. It's kind of still in that line. And all I'm doing is separating these into what kind of colors we're going to work with. Now, the same as a regular paint. You can mix your pigments. It's just dust, basically. If you add a medium to this, you'll end up with paint. What brand are these? All of these, with the exception of this one, is the MIG Ammo pigments. These are brand new on the Rival Craft store. So, ! Rival. Go and have a look at these on their website. I'm going to need those fucking rubber things. Can I tighten this back up? I've got two masks, and obviously the one I would normally wear is smaller because it doesn't need these on and it still fits. Okay, right. We'll just have to sort of hope for the best of it. Never mind. This one is a Vallejo one. You can get them from Cromlech and other suppliers, but I wanted to use everything possible on this base from Rival Crafts because they are fucking great. Sarah runs an amazing shop there. Honest to God, check them out for all of your basing needs. Now, all the pigment is, if we just decant some into the top, like I was saying, is paint that doesn't have medium in it. Okay? So if you took some acrylic medium and mixed it with this, you'd get a pretty passable black paint. It wouldn't necessarily be as good as buying like a Citadel or P3 or Vallejo black paint, but it would do the job. So we're starting off with our darkest colors. We're going to get these into the recesses. Then we're going to work up through our reddish browns and darker browns to a lighter brown. A final dusting of some of the very light browns, like sort of tan colored browns, before we get the green out and use the green to help just pop out a little bit of the vegetation we've got going on here. It's going to look like moss or lichen on our pillars. Now the black, obviously, the best place for it is the darkest shadow, which is the underside. So because we've got a load of coverage here that we need to do, we're going to grab one of our biggest shit brushes, which is this. And all you're going to want to do is pick a load of it up on the bristles just by sort of stippling your brush into that. And then stipple it onto the mini. Now you're going to lose a lot of this. It's just going to fall off. However, the vast majority of the work that you're doing with this will stay on there. I get a lot of people asking me how I seal my pigments, and the answer is that I don't. If you seal these down, you're adding something that is wet to the pigment. It changes its properties from a powder to a paint. That's where it becomes a wet pigment, and you can buy wet pigments. AK Interactive do some. Don't know what everyone's personal thoughts are on AK Interactive right now, but they were the source of some pretty significant controversy over a recent book that they published. And based on their, let's just say, bad decision making, I am probably not going to be using their products unless I absolutely need to. They decided that they would release a book on how to create scenes from some of the worst parts of human history, some of which was just the Holocaust. I say just the Holocaust because some of it was worse. Some of it was a lot worse. And they defended it by just saying, well, you know, we didn't really think people would be that fucked off by it, to be honest. And that's a very short-sighted answer. Now you can see on stream little bits of this just sort of puffing up into the air, little like wisps of what looks like smoke. This is why I'm wearing the mask. Basically, I've got bad sinuses, I guess, from having my nose broken many times, and that makes me sneeze and have runny nose and what feels like man flu for a couple of days. So I do suggest you protect yourself just in case you're someone that also would suffer from that. And to be honest, anytime you're airbrushing or using any sort of solvent sprays like varnishes and so on, certainly undercoats, you should definitely wear a mask or respirator. I don't for the stream because I don't like having anything interfere with how I talk to you guys, but that's because I'm going to do it for like 2 hours. When I'm off stream, I wear protection. Always put a hat on. Now, a lot of that you've just seen fall off the Mini, like as it's coming up, as we're using that stippling sort of motion. We're being quite aggressive with this stippling motion as well. Yeah, see that's the thing, Saragon, right? So if you look at it from a technique perspective, yeah, it's brilliant. But the content was a bit fucked up. And their somewhat blasé, oh, it's not really a big deal reaction. Inexcusable. Right, what we're going to do now is grab the hairdryer. I'm going to blow off most of the excess. All of this, you can see where that pigment still lies, is stuck to the base. It's not been glued on, it's not being fixed on afterwards, but it's just through like surface tension, friction, maybe even a little bit like static electricity or whatever. It's adhered to the base. Now, if you took your finger and rubbed it into there, yes, you'd end up with pigment on your finger. If somebody's going to do that to your minis, then you need to have better friends, basically. But this pigment will stay on there. You'll lose a little bit here and there over, say, the next year, but not a lot. All of my Imperial Knights, you can see a couple behind me in the cabinet, the rest are still in the case because I'm taking those to this battle report of the weekend, have had this technique used on the flat plastic armor panels that they have on them. And if it's still on there after they've been transported to 3 different countries since doing it, and to God knows how many tournaments in the UK, it'll definitely stay on this. Do a little tap, little bit that's come off, but all of this still there. So that's the black part done. I'm just going to come around to this side and do a little bit more of it. I'm trying to hold onto this by the steps because there's no tufts on the majority of the flat part of the step. But just to demonstrate that again, you take the pigment, you aggressively stipple this into your miniature or into your base. And you keep going until you've got pretty decent coverage of it. Once you've done that, get rid of the excess. Like I said, I'm just using a hairdryer because I don't want to take the mask off to blow on this. And that's going to do a lot of work in terms of getting off any loose pigment. I'll tell you what, I'll show you it on stream. No, I won't, because there's Magnus right there. Let's pop that to one side. So look, have a look at that. You can see there's plenty of pigment there. We've changed the overall tone of that area of the miniature. Quick blast with a hairdryer, and we've still got some of that effect in there. Now we start working up the sides of this with that darker brown. Let's pop the black away. There we go. That one's done. Let's go with this reddish brown to begin with. This is track rust. Let's get in here. Dr. Rhino, how you doing? Rival Sarah, sorry, Janelson says, hey Rival Sarah, is the resin scenery appropriate size for 40k? I believe so, because I had some of the barricades. We did those as a giveaway as part of the birthday stream that we did back in April. And those were exactly the same. In fact, there were rhino doors on those barricades, and they are exactly the same size as rhino doors. There was like barrels that would hold like caustic stuff, like chemicals, and we used one of those on Samael's base, so that's pretty good for it as well. Right, let's try out this on some of this area where we've got a darker element to it, just in case this is a little bit too red. It might be. So we'll put this on sparingly here and there then. What we're going to do is going to use this to just modulate our value, not our values, our hue a little bit here and there. I'm going to use the other pigments to cover up a lot of this, but leave some of it showing through to just give us some variation on our base. And this is one of the reasons why I love using pigments rather than using a dry brushing technique, is because this is super simple, it's super quick, it is messy, that's the downside to it, like I said, but you're going to get a great effect by sort of combining these on the miniature itself. This would be great for doing like cliffs around Cornwall, something like that. They'd be super good for that. Let's get that into here. Move around. Some of this going on. The barricades are fucking great, yeah. They're not cheap, but they shouldn't be for the amount of detail they've got on them. But if you were doing terrain for a 40k club, then that would be a significant investment. However, your club would have the best looking tables with some of that stuff on. So you can see again, we're being super rough with this. Let's mix some of that into the black that we've got on the base right down there. Let the colours play with each other. Imagine wet blending, but with dry paint. That's kind of what we're doing here. Alright, you've all seen wet blending on various people's Twitch channels or on YouTube videos and such. Let's hold it there, I guess. This is kind of the same thing, but with all the time in the world, because the dry time has expired. It is dry already. Right, let's get a little up here, and then some under there. Not aiming to get this on any of the pillars or anything like that, but if we do, it's not the end of the world, because again, it just helps give us that variation in color. It's going to make everything look better. So here's where we're at now. Very orange. It's okay, because it's going to get covered over. So once again, hairdryer. Get rid of the vast majority of all the loose stuff. There's still loads of that attached to the base. If you look from this side, we're getting all that different color variation. This is grand. Let's pop that one away and go for one of our more neutral brown colors that we've got. We've still got some darker browns that we can use. We're still in the shading element of this rather than the highlighting element of this. And out of the two, let's go with this one, I think. Still a little bit of richness to it. Oh yeah, that's a really nice sort of chocolate brown. Like that, that's good. And you do essentially exactly the same thing. So we'll come around here. This area is kind of very, very orangey. So let's change that down a little bit and dull it out a little bit using this. This is what I was talking about, where this is almost like a wet blending process, but with dry ingredients. You're mixing them all in together, creating different tones. So we're going to go over some of that we've just put down. We're going to go into a lot of other places as well. And we're already getting a big change out of this. Now we can start being a little bit more careful, admittedly, but getting this around some of our tufts. Make it look like they've grown out of a little bit of actual dirt. What's this one called? This one is good. Winter soil, this one's called. I can see that. Alright, let's bed these pillars in. Is that the music stopped, or is that just a little pause? It is the music stopped. There we go. So now we're applying paint to both the pillar, say paint, pigment, same almost difference. So thoughts on using the MIG pigments over your Vallejo. So they're holding up very well, actually. I will wait to reserve full judgment till we finish the base, but so far I'm liking them. The track rust isn't quite going to substitute my Cromlech Dark Earth. It's just not quite the hue I'm looking for from it. But this one comes real close to it as well. So the two combined could very definitely replace that one. So far, they're good. I'm getting everything I need out of it, at least, so that's a plus. I'm going to go on a little bit heavier with this than we have anything else so far, I think. This is a really good colour. So you see we're literally just painting it on the pillars and it's sticking to it pretty well. Yeah, it's getting into some of those recesses as well. This is a very rough surface that I don't want to hold it there, that we're working on. So all those little bits of damage, all the little cracks and crannies. There we go, finally used the word crannies on a stream. Look at that. It's really helping to cement this pigment in. A load of it here. This is very overgrown, this step. A load of crap and dust and dirt and everything on. Any idea when it's going to be? Usually around the sort of 11:30ish time, mate. So about 30 minutes or so. Maybe a little bit later if this runs on. I do want to get all of the pigments done on this evening. That was kind of the main purpose of the stream. So maybe a little later. If it comes to it, mate, obviously you can always watch the VOD and get the feedback that way. If there's anything that you need to tell me about your whip, by all means do it now. And between myself and the mods, we will remember it just to be sure. When Jay's finished putting on his foundation, you son of a bitch. Too many sprues. That was a good one, though. That was a good one. I think you'll find that Damien did the foundations, though. Alright. Let's get up here. We'll start bringing this in now onto some of our larger elements of the base. So we're just brushing this lightly over the steps. We're concentrating on the darkest recess and then kind of just feathering it out a little over the rest. Now, like I said earlier on, these have got loads of little bits of grain almost on, which I really like. Damo's done a solid job with that. Great casting, big fan. We're using a lot of this winter soil. This is a really fucking good pigment, actually. It's exactly the right color for just basic dirt. It's not too dark, it's not too light. This is a good one. Now we're just going to pick out a couple of areas on these to apply some dirt. This is just going to help, again, just give us some slightly different hues on there. No, don't want anything on top of that pillar. Or even on top of that one, I don't think. Go a bit more heavily on it down here. Really drill that down into some of the base that we've got. And now I'm thinking this is less like Forgotten Temple underground and slightly more like Jungle Temple. Deck Flow! How you doing, man? Let's get some love in the stream for Deck Flow, who just brought his community over here. How is your stream, dude? What were you up to? Hang on, I'll get to that follow in a second. Fugazi, thank you for the follow. Stratation Design 3D. I think I got that right. Welcome. Fugazi. And thank you for the follow. Stratation Design. I think that's right. Stratation Design, yeah? Like striation, but not quite. Could that be? I got it right! Yeah! What was your stream? What were you doing, Deckfleck? Is this more of the same from last time? We're working on this gigantic base for Magnus the Red. I'll show you him in a second. Just want to get the rest of this pigment put down. We're working with weathering powders, hence me wearing my Bane mask. And having a blast. So just gently sort of brushing on some of these gaps in the stone. Not picking up all of that on camera, but you can just about see like up here and here where we've got that in there, which is a lot more pronounced down there at the front. Once again, let's grab the hairdryer, get rid of the excess off of that. That one, Winter Soil, big fan of that. That one was banging. The hairdryer is just taking all of the loose pigment off of the surface, getting rid of it. It's also helping to push stuff down into some of the crevices a little bit more as well. But now look at what we've got here. Starting to get towards that really, really nice, rich, realistic kind of feel to it. Again, this does get everywhere. This is not good at all. Let me show off Maggie quickly. To those who just come in, Magnus is what we've been working on for the last dozen streams now. I think we're up to streams 12. I'm just going to use the back of my hand to support him so I don't get any... Oh, shit, don't knock his wing off now. But this is Magnus the Red. We've been working on him for about the last month's worth of streams. You've got a custom base designed by Damien Pedley, Golden Demon Award winning artist. It's just for this bad boy. Okay, I'm not touching that because pigment on hands, and that's a white wing. And I want it well out of the way. So there's Magnus, the one wing right now. Just going to put him way out of the way. Can't grab him with this hand, it's covered in shit. So, do we even need to use this one? I don't think we do. This is Russian Earth. Let's have a quick look at it on cam. And that is kind of a more dark grey brown. So, this is all looking quite rich at the moment. We'll leave that one out. Going to move on to Dark Earth, which isn't actually as dark as the name might suggest. As you can see, it's kind of a mid-tone. So this is where we're going to start highlighting. Little dude, there's a spider somewhere on here. It's super tiny. There he is. You don't want to be around here. You're going to get possibly sat on by that monstrous base. It's up to you. Right. So this, we're going to start off with on some of the raised areas here. And again, all we're doing, for those of you who just joined us, is basically taking a brush, just a cheap, crappy brush, and aggressively stippling it into the surface of our base. We're not going to fix our pigments with anything. So some of this will fall off the base and be lost. But a lot of it will remain intact on our base, and because we're not sealing it with anything, it will still have the look of a powder rather than a paint, and it will give us a very realistic, nice finish to what we've got going on here. We're wearing a mask because you can probably see on stream there's a little bit of like dust sort of spraying up, and I've got particularly shit sinuses basically. And it causes me to essentially have a little bit of like man flu / sinus headache symptoms, and I could really do without that. It's not good at all. So always protect yourself. You know, we live in a world where masks are pretty common these days, so you should better pick one up. Let's get some of this up here. I'm going to replace a lot of this with the green at the very end, the only non-MIG ammo pigment, because I made a mistake with my order, I think. Should have been a little bit more vigilant about the pictures. One of them wasn't quite as green as I'd hoped it was, but that's okay. Again, painting. This is the ultimate dry brushing, I guess, you know, on our pillar. Very, very softly introduce that ground colour to it in a very natural way. This is going to blend in with the pigment we just used. Well, on that train now, after a certain airbrush session I blew my nose and yeah. Like I don't wear a mask on stream when I'm doing the airbrush work. Any other time, hey, nearly dropped it. Any other time, mask on. Because that paint, oh, I don't think I could. No, I'm on maximum zoom. Just past my chopping board here, which is what we work on, is my desk. And there is a line of black undercoat that stretches. The furthest back is about a foot. Some of that you end up breathing in. It's not good for you. Paint on the outside of the lungs, please, not on the inside. Right. So once again, get into here and do a little bit more on the steps now than we did before, to try and take advantage of the grain that's part of the mold that was used to create these steps. So you see we're going on real heavy to begin with, yeah? And then just sort of work it in. Some of that on the step below. Get some more up here. We'll just do a few different spots this time though. And I'm going to grab that little bit of plinth as well. And get some on there before we forget. So let's pop you down for a tick. Where is he? Over here. So can't leave this unpigmented. So again, just light stippling. This is the back of the base where you're going to see this side a lot more than on the other three. So we'll get a bit more aggro on that one. And then as before, we'll just paint down the pillar with this to help introduce it to that sort of ground texture a bit. I promise you guys, you couldn't do this with as subtle effects using a traditional dry brush technique. You just couldn't, because a dry brush will have the paint that you apply on the raised areas. What this is doing is putting the paint into the recesses. So whilst it's kind of a dry brush technique in the form of you've got not wet paint on your brush, it works the opposite way to a dry brush in how it leaves the paint on the miniature. So that was a good one. Dark earth, like that, that's good. Happy with it. Once again, hairdryer out, knock off a load of the excess. So here's where we're at now. This is good. I like this a lot. Now let's grab some of these lighter ones. And this, I think we'll go with this one and not this one. We're not going to use both. This is Syrian ground, this is Europe earth. This one's ever so slightly more grey. Does it dry like a paint though? It's already dry. So there's no drying process. Essentially what we're doing by stippling it on, cutting that obviously, by stippling it on our base, and you can do this on models. My Imperial Knights, these guys right here, that battle damage, all done through weathering powders, and none of it is fixed down as well. It's all just left on there. You lose some of it naturally over the course of time just by moving the models around and so on. That's a given. But you don't lose that much unless you're actively trying to get it off the miniature. So you don't need to fix your pigments down. You just need to ensure that people aren't like spooging their hand. Like if I do this, I'm wiping pigment off, right? As long as you don't do this to your miniatures, you're fine, you're good, you're sorted, right? If you've ordered pigments, you better be careful, Voodoo Yaz. I've met your wife. Shit. Striation design. Take it easy, mate. Thanks for dropping by. So this is going to apply to the outside edge of our steps. Want a lighter color on there. So we're getting some on the riser as well. So let's just angle this a little bit differently, and then sort of blend that in a little. So this is what I was saying earlier on, how it's a little bit like wet blending, but you've got unlimited working time because, or nearly unlimited working time, because the paint is already dry. Just going to get rid of that excess quick. There we go, that's most of that sorted out. And we've got a few little bits that we'll just brush in, help incorporate those into our steps. So that's helping give us that highlight back a little bit. Event day and some tosh just running around with a fossil brush cleaning everyone's minis. Yeah, maybe. Get another coat of that in on some of this. And all we're doing is we're just hoping that that settles in the grain of these steps quite well. I think it's doing okay. It's bringing back a little bit of that edge. And I'd probably be better off just using a grey pigment for this, but I didn't order one. And we'll see if it needs it after we've put on all the Rival Craft stuff. If so, I have a grey pigment from Vallejo. Didn't mean to get it all over my glove. Go again, let's just a load of that. And then again, blend that in a little more where it needs it. Banging. Right, last bit, and then we're done. So this one isn't from Rival Crafts, exclamation point Rival, because I fucked up and I didn't look at the descriptions. I just looked at the pictures and I thought I'd got one that was green, but we didn't. So here is some Vallejo faded olive green. This is super, super good. They do come in these annoying like medicine bowls. So if you're an 8-year-old on the inside like me, it might take you more than one attempt to open them. But this is a very, very nice bright green. And all we're going to do with this is you can see some of the airbrush work that we've done that's been left on the base. Mike Duff! How are you doing, dude? Is that my favorite Mike Duff? The best Mike Duff? I hope so. And all we're going to do is use this to enhance some of that airbrush work we did with the green. Just bring up some of that vegetal growth. How are you not following me already? Mother lover. Northy, thank you for the follow as well. I didn't even know you were here, man. I didn't even know you watched the stream. Everyone, this is my buddy Mike. He's super good. Oh, Northy getting his sub on as well. Absolute superstar. Mike's a good competitive player. Goes to a lot of events. Decent guy. Rotator13, thank you for the follow as well. So we can go anywhere where we've got a little bit of vegetation and just sort of pop it on there, like we've done now on the top of the base. But we can also just use this to provide what looks like vegetation growth on some of these surfaces. Now the airbrush work we did earlier on will have some of that effect anyway. This is just getting a similar effect, so it helps with that variation on our bases. That's what the whole point of using these pigments is to get that variation in a way that gives us a much more realistic finish to the dry brush. And let's be honest, dry brushing just sucks anyway. I don't care if you make a set of brushes dedicated to dry brushing. It's still a bad technique for most people to use. Sneak in one of your painting tips for them after your epic power sword video. We'll see how Magnus is going. Nice, dude. Ah, too many sprues! I've got crap all over my hands. Don't want to give him the moves. Fuck. Currency. I just used the brush. Ah, enter is not search. How dare you, Streamlabs? Huh. There we go. Power sword tips. Go back to one of the Magnus videos. You'll find it on YouTube. It's the one where we first started work on the sword, but I don't know which out of we're on episode 12 of Magnus now. I don't know which one out of the 12 it was. But it was an early one. Definitely an early one. Probably within the first 6. Right, let's look around here. Let's not neglect any part of the base. We're ensuring we've got a nice range of hues. I don't mean like hue as in H-U-G-H and so on, but you know, H-U-E. All around. I'm just going to pop up some of that green a little bit more. Then, and then, nice, dude. If you watch the VOD for this one for about an hour back, you'll see all of it for the pigments. We're going to attack our pillars a little bit. Also, if you need some pigments, mate, exclamation point rival, go check out Sarah. These are all, aside from this particular one, all we've used is the MIG ammo pigments from Rival Crafts web store. And I am impressed. I will certainly, unless there's a particular hue that I need, be buying my pigments from Rival Crafts now. The Vallejo one I'm using now is basically exactly the same properties as the rest of those MIG ones. It's just a bright green. That's all I need. No one then! And then... No one then! I thought that film was hilarious when I saw it in the movies. I wasn't stoned. I was just drunk. Right, let's get a little on the steps. And see how you can just sort of mix this in, sort of back and forth. It's always that somewhat organic process to the base, which I really, really love doing. Just give that tuft a little bit of a boost. Why not? There you go. Have some more green, dude. And you can have some more green as well. And then I think we're done. So I take the hairdryer and just remove any excess green from this. Dude, what does mine say? Sweet! What does mine say? Dude! No, dude, what does mine say? Sweet! Notice how all of these tufts have stayed on despite me attacking the base with this. We're just going to feather out some of the pigments that we've left on our pillars a little bit, so they're less circular. And all the hairdryer action we've had going on. That Rival Crafts adhesive, good shit. Right, this is our finished base for Magnus the multicolored. Can a liquid pigment ever stack up to the proper stuff? So, yes and no. You will get a different effect. The reason I use dry pigments is because I like the effect that they have now. They are a powder that you are applying to the miniature. I'm just going to wash my hands using airbrush cleaning water. But they're going to give you the effect of dust and dirt in a very realistic fashion. Sarah, peace out. As always, your products came through in the absolute best of ways. Okay, getting rid of some of the dust off of this so I can disentangle myself from that fucking thing. Wow. It's been emotional, name that film. Damn. It's been emotional. I feel that's delivered in a flat London accent. But it isn't one of the usual gangster films that we quote. That's going to bug me. Right, now we've got clean hands. Let's grab good old Maggie back. Yes, we've reassembled Mr. Magnus. So here is his base. If we grip this. Here is the man himself. And look at the tremendous change in colours from one to the other. We've got something that's very natural, very muted, still a nice, vibrant green, you know. But then that's going up against this, which is so colourful, so vivid, and so bright that it just blots out any of the rest of that base. Still got a few things left to do on him. A couple of armor panels, a few bits of gold, some scrolls, and so on to go hanging on his belt. We've got the one side of that wing left to highlight. But look at him. All those colours come into life. It was... Okay, damn it. I didn't think it was. All of that, the power and oops, wings are too big. Power and vibrancy of that. And of course, the flaming sword of Magnus, the blade of change, will stand out over this base by a crazy amount. And that's been the entire rationale behind painting the base this way. If we go back to the same sort of position we had it in earlier on, before we did any of the highlighting, I'm going to show you the image on Discord one more time. So about the same... Yeah, about the same look. So this is what it was before we did much of the highlights. And before we did that bit of work with the pigments. So we went from that. Not a bad looking base. Definitely tabletop. You know, you could put that out and be completely happy with it. We went from that to that. Not a lot of actual effort was put in. Pissing around with some pigments. Putting some tufts on. A couple of quick highlights here and there. Easy peasy. But this is what we've ended up with. This looks like it could be quite easily some lost and forgotten Aztec style temple. Let's just carefully pop that back up in place. Yeah, you can imagine walking through a gap between those pillars up to this sort of raised dais over here. Fucking great. You're absolutely right. Ground looks way more natural and dirt-like now. It really does, because we basically just covered it in dirt. Look at these tiles up here. That little bit of variation between the flat grey tops and the brown tones that we've got in on the side. It works so well. North Sea, did you say it was Nagev sand? I have no idea what you're talking about, I'm afraid, Chief. But that is it. That is Magnus's base. On the next stream, which is Sunday night, I might end up drinking shots of jalapeno sauce and tequila if I forgot to do those commands. But we're going to get Magnus's horns done. We've got the head horns, the nipple horns to do. We've got a book and some scrolls to do. And I'm hoping between now and then to have gotten the rest of his armor panels finished off. These belong on the wings. It's not going to work. Whatever. And the other little bits of gold that he's got to put on as well. Hope to get all of that done, as well as the red on the sigils on the wings that he's got. Oh, the colour of the pigment. So we used Europe Earth, or I thought it said Europa for some reason there. We did have Syrian Ground, which decided not to use it. We used Dark Earth, Russian Earth, Winter Soil, which was my favourite one out of all of these. This was fucking epic. Track Rust, which I really like. It's a nice dark rust colour. And then just regular black pigment. The final one, the only one that wasn't used from Rival Crafts, was the Vallejo pigment, Faded Olive Green. They do have one, I think, that is as bright as this. It's just, I didn't pick it up because I thought the Syrian Ground one was around this kind of colour based on the picture I saw on the website, but never mind. So next stream is the horns. No. I'll leave it up to you. Next stream I'm hoping to be the last stream of Magnus. It might not be, but I'm hoping for it to be. So I'll let you guys have the option. We either paint this, or we paint this. Itchy nose. Definitely inhaled some pigment. How do you use these pigments? Lariviel, honestly, best thing to do, go back and watch a YouTube VOD of this, but essentially it was take a brush that you don't give a fuck about, stab pigments into stuff, and then try not to touch it very much. That's it. Super, super simple. Oh. So, give you guys the option of either painting the flaming orb, so orb, or horns. For the horns, it will be dark brown up to bone, very traditional. The reason behind that is because on the man himself, all of his talons and claws and talons are done exactly the same way, and I want them to be a little bit plainer, because certainly when you've got the nipple horns on, I don't want it to detract too much from the armor and the blue tones on there, and I need that light color at the end to stand out away from those. If we do the cool, like, reverse style where you do the dark at the top, I feel they're just going to get lost a little bit on the miniature. So Des votes for orb. You guys chat it out amongst yourselves while we do the work in progress gallery. That's what we're going into right now. Exclamation point whip. No, don't do that. That's another command I should do. Exclamation point Discord. Go and join the Discord community. You can have a chat with me anytime you like. Oh, there we go. We've got After the Powder shot. Happily there in Discord as well. Oh dear, oh dear. This is MCG Jager. Says, will be J on Sunday. No, I developed a harmful chemical specifically to prevent mammals from eating me. Haha, pain plant, make mouth go brrr. Wear a mask, definitely, when using pigments. Right, Des, I love you. You sent me a message, I'll remember that. So this is earlier in tonight's stream, this is during tonight's stream, so here we go. This is Commissar Bob. He's been working on his Imperial Guard converted Legion. He's got a load of, I think it's the Vanguard heads, the metallic heads that he's used on those with his Imperial Guard. I'm liking it, dude. Same as before. I can tell they're a bit of a whip, but get some more contrast in there, get some washes or something going on those armor panels, especially that guy with the flamer, his flame tanks on the back, just to enable some of those details to stand out a bit more. I like the green on the rifle though. That works, stands out well. Get a nice tidy rim job as well. Metal Burner, thank you for the follow. Yeah, doing a nice tidy rim job. Oh, before we go into the whip, actually, let me put Magnus somewhere he's not going to fall over, because he's very back heavy right now. Let's put him there against the screen. On our giveaway stream, which is coming next week. I think it's Thursday. It's a week today, in fact, the giveaway stream. The 29th of October. We now have all of the minis have been chosen for the giveaway. You could win, exclamation point mystery, a miniature painted in the colour scheme of your choice by me. So here are the first 2 minis up for grabs. The Sergeant Ripper Jackson amazing store anniversary miniature. I fucking love this model. She's going to be so much fun to paint. Really looking forward to it. And doing our own little like camo pants and everything else. That's going to be super sick. So we've got, that's one choice. The other choice is Lord Inquisitor Kyra Draxus, the new 40k Inquisitor. This is the Inquisitor that went through all of the Psychic Awakening. The main protagonist in the sort of voiceover things that GW is doing. Good addition to any 40k army. So you could choose either of these 2 minis to be painted by me in a colour scheme of your choice. Or, if you win and you don't necessarily want either one of those 2, you could win the contents of the mystery box. Now, in the box, there is a miniature. This is a very special miniature, some might say. Something decent sized in there, at least. You know, you can hear that thumping. But it could be anything from the Shells of Shame. We've got limited edition Space Marines. We've got Terminator Chaplain dude. We've got some Warcry stuff. We've got a red gobbo that's clearly there, so it's probably not him. Didn't think that one through. There's all manner of GW stuff behind there. This might not even be GW. In fact, this might not even be something from Games Workshop's current production line. Could be anything in here. As long as it fits inside the box, it's a candidate for the mystery box. So those are the 3 prizes. One of those is going to get chosen. Somebody that's a subscriber out there could be winning that on Thursday next week. You can also, win, a £50 hobby voucher to the hobby stockist of your choice. Could be a Rival Crafts voucher, could be a Glasshammer voucher, an Element Games voucher, could be a straight up GW voucher. Whatever it is, we will sort you out as long as they have a voucher system and I can pay by PayPal. It could be a Magnus. There's a version of Magnus, 2 in fact, that will fit in that box. So that is next Thursday, the 29th. And Des, to answer your question, is next month. It's Thursday, the 5th of November. It's my girlfriend's birthday. So we're going to go out and celebrate. Maybe see some fireworks if there's any of that sort of thing on. Who knows? Let's go back to the whip. So this is Commissar Bob's Guard. Get a tidy rim job on those bases. No one likes a sloppy rim job. And this Marine, this is a Blood Angel successor. So we're going grey, red, blue eyes, gold trim on the pads. I actually like that. It's a good colour scheme. Maybe some fireworks, blow your own trumpet there, mate. I don't need to blow my own trumpet, mate. Commissar Bob, I like this scheme. Yeah. Big fan. I know you said you'd find a better one, but I do like this. It's clean. It's tidy. I like it. This is Ketz. Tried glazing the leg with a reddish brown, but I think my glaze was too thick. Also not sure what I'm doing with the base just yet. Also need to highlight, but mixing red and small bit of white did not go too well. We'll try red and take a bit of yellow tomorrow. Red and yellow and work towards orange is almost the best way to highlight red. Especially on a Blood Angel. They're usually just got a little orange tint to them anyway. The other way of doing it is mixing red and flesh tones. So like Cadian flesh tone, something like that, right? Because Cadian flesh tone is basically red and white, and by mixing a pink with it instead, you get less of a step in your color change. So that can work as well. Let's have a look at this though. Yes, your glaze is definitely too thick. And the reason I know that is because I can see a tide mark in it. When you're using glazes, you are painting with a very small amount of paint on your brush. And the paint should be the consistency of water. Almost. Go back and watch the video we did on glazing with the Dark Angel shoulder pad freehand. The first half of that video is all about glazing green and a lot of glazing theory, as well as a practical example on how to glaze. This is exactly the sort of thing that we can cover in a one-on-one painting tutorial as well. So if somebody's interested in that, hit me up on Discord for some lessons. We can do anything. Glazing is a definite skill that I think you need to learn to be a miniature painter. Yeah, if you look at that, you go straight from red. When you apply glaze, you're putting a filter on over the top of something, right? And imagine you're holding up a piece of like colored plastic or glass between you and the miniature. That's a filter, right? Because instead of it being there, you're putting it right up against the miniature. Now it should be so thin that you need several passes to get much of a noticeable effect, let alone full opacity. And what you've got here goes red to brown red. There's no like step through it, it's just one to the other. So thin your glaze even more. Use very, very small amounts of paint on the brush, so use a bit of towel or whatever to take some of that paint off. And then just carefully brush it in the direction of least impact to most impact. When you remove your brush from a miniature, a tiny amount of paint is left there as a residue. That's going to be the thickest area of paint. So move from the area that you want to have almost no colour tint on towards the area with the most colour tint, and that's where your brush comes off. Go back and rewatch that Dark Angels video. As far as the base goes, I mean, to be honest, mate, you've got a load of stuff on there that's going to be picked out in like metals or something similar, I guess. The brown isn't too bad with the red. But if you're working in some brown in the shadows, I'd maybe change that to more of a cold grey. Or even like mix elements of like blue in there. Yeah, so you could go for like a bluey grey, something like Thunderhawk Blue is the GW one I'm thinking of. Is it that? No, it's the wolf one. Is it this? No. Is it this? The Fang! That's the one. Wrong camera. This would be a good start. It's got an element of blue. Blue and red contrast quite well, as you've seen on Maggie. That'd be a good one. Toony Sprues, using what I got from Rival Sarah. Here's my attempt at rubble. Nothing stuck down as of yet. Not sure how to. Thoughts? Alright, let's get a decent shot of that. Okay, so you've got a little slate and various bits of rock particulate. For me, the best way to put this on a mini is by using pumice. So I go through about a pot of this per 2 armies. So the Necrons took a lot more. And if we just switch camera back, this is it. As you can see, £9.50. I think I got this from either Element or Firestorm. I'm pretty sure you can get it on Amazon Prime as well. It's basically paint and dirt mixed together. Yeah, look at that gunge in there, yeah? This, by the way, is a great way to completely fuck up an airbrush. Don't get this anywhere close to your airbrush. But that, when it sets, it will hold a lot of that particulate in place. So I'll put a layer of that down underneath the rubble, put the rubble on top, and then use more of that over parts of it, and it will really help to sort of cement that in. You can super glue it, you can use Milliput and sort of press it into it, you can use green stuff if you're made of money, all those sorts of things you can use, but pumice is really, really good at that sort of thing. And it's cheap AF. And it's easy to use. Just give it a night's worth of drying, and you're good. Also, interested to see what you do with your nights, mate. And that forest floor base scatter is the shit. It's so good. That can go straight down on top of pumice, no issue, mate. And then just do your undercoat over the top of that, and that'll really sort of hold it in place. More shots from Bob. Finished Blood Angel Successor Intercessor. It's good, dude. Honestly, I really like it. Next steps, you could use some more shading. So again, it comes back to just building up more contrast. Purple is a really, really good way of shading red. We've done that on Magnus's body armor. So is, of course, a dark brown. Just get inside like the trim on the shoulder pad, so onto the red, but pressed right up against the gold. It helps just give a bit of separation there. A few elements on the gun, as well as the hand and the arm holding it. That would work as well. Good stuff though, mate. I like it a lot. Toonie Spruce, not a problem, dude. Saragon wanted to try out a base with the look of rotting wood in swampy muskeg? Not sure what muskeg is. To work out a base some crisis suits. If not, time for round 2. It definitely works as mud in a swampy environment. As far as rotting wood goes, I think you need some darker colours to it. I'm just trying to think of like when I've been out on walks and stuff and there's been like trees that have fallen and so on. There's normally a really, really dark brown element to it. I think that's probably where I'd go with some of this. I'm just not sure how to. You could do it with washes, you could do it with oils or enamels, but there's almost no way back from that if you decide you don't like it. Maybe just start with a... Okay, Muskeg's peat bog. Alright, sweet. Maybe just start with a darker brown and limit your highlights on it a little bit more. Someone said it was Waldo said feel you need more green, moss and dark green. Yeah, I get it. That would work. You could actually use just green powders for that and sort of stipple it on, same as we've done on this base, because you're going to get something that's the size of like little particulates of lichen and so on growing on the wood. That would work. Some static grass would also work well. But I think for me it's not quite dark enough in places, and that's what's throwing me off a little. Certainly for a peat bog, I'd imagine that would be a darker environment anyway, right? Peat is normally that really rich, dark, chocolatey brown kind of colour. This is a little bit too light for that. Almost more like a caramel brown. May try an oil wash of green or brown. Yeah. Russian green, definitely. I'd leave that one. I like what you've done with the water effect though. That's good. The pool. Yeah, I'm liking that. It says close up of the snot pool with water effects. Nice. What I suggest you do before you do any changes to this though is just give you a black base rim, because it will just snap all of that into focus and you'll have a much better idea of how it's going to look finished off. Then you can look to see whether you want to change anything up past that point. But that's what I would do. I like that little bit of like weird tufty thing you've got in the background. It's different. Trying water effects around the outside. Need to figure out what reacted with it to make white goop. Oh shit. Oh, I see. Right, sorry. For a second, I thought that white ring around the outside was this white group. I'm like, what has happened here? But then I see just on the inside, you got a little bit. Black Magic Craft just did a video not long ago where he had a similar issue. And I can't remember what he said it might have been. Yeah, that one's lost on me, but he had a similar issue. Go back through his videos. It was one he did with like a beach or something. Could have been that. Could be water, yeah. Quid, very early stage of converting the Nurgle War Dog. Just trying to get the height right first. Would like it to be the same size as an original. So I've seen similar conversions using the bloat drone, but not the Myphitic Blight Hauler. This looks really sick. What are you going to do to tie the sort of organic parts of it into the legs? Because that, I think, might give a very jarring look when it's finished, unless you've got some sort of scheme that you're working on for that already. As far as the height goes, you're probably not far off. Next thing to do is to also mount the arms in an appropriate place. Obviously on a knight, armor gear, the shoulder pads are right up there at the top of it. Sculpt using some nid parts, and I have armor plates from the haul to put on. Nice, that would work. Hey, no worries, dude. That's the whole point of the whips, Aragon. So thank you for sharing, as always. Love seeing your work in there. It's always going to be something that's at least different. Like, your Tau is fucking great. I love the color scheme of your Tau, and you just don't see Tau done like that. So I love the fact you have your own sort of unique spin on things at times. Daddy Tubbs, looking forward to seeing this a bit more. It's good. Big Mike, here he is. Look at this Telemon. What a fucking weapon. So Mike is someone that will tell everyone that he basically paints in a quick scheme to get it on the table, and that's kind of him done. I feel he sells himself short quite a lot with that phrase, though. Mate, I love what you've done with the weapon. You've got that overly cartoony look to it, which fucking speaks to me. So, it's good. I love the grey. And the fact you've kept it grey as well. Big fan of that. I think the gold that you've got on the shoulder pads, the like weird sort of ridge that he's got there, I think that needs a lot of work. The rest of your gold everywhere else looks like it's got a bit more power to it, and that just looks flat. So that's where I would go for your next efforts, to be honest, mate. I love the weapon. Honestly, mate. You've seen my nights. This is the sort of shit I go for all the time, so it's good. Yeah, solid work, mate. Get those shoulders sorted out, and then what are you doing for the base? Are you going to do the lava bases, same as your Marines? It would look good on a lava base, just because of the reds and the yellows that you put down on there. But it's solid, dude. Good work. It's a centerpiece model for any Custodes army, and it's an absolute beast. So I'll give you a solid 8 out of 10. Cracked Desert. Okay. There you go. There's those powders, mate. They're going to come in super clutch for that. The Dark Angel stuff was on the old streams. It's not on any of the news stuff. We're going to be doing some desert bases, but it's going to be a couple of weeks away on the Dark Angels for Nick. That kind of grey-brown up to sort of bone colour to finish off. So have a look at the pics on my Instagram of things like Samael's base, and you'll get a good grasp of what we're doing for it. Good work though, man. Good work. Just get those shoulders sorted. Azrael, for you, a whip. For me, battle ready. Nah, man, there's nothing wrong with what you've got there. That's alright. That's alright. So, big bold colours tick a box for me straight away. And you've definitely got those on the model. You've got your edge highlights down in a somewhat more GW heavy metal way than I prefer, but you know, everyone's got their own style. And then you've got nice sets of contrast. So these are good. These are solid. And you've definitely gone in with the after effects as well, so good stuff, mate. Good stuff. You finish guns by washing the weathering or something so they don't look so airbrushed them onto the base. Right, you don't need to do that. You need to just go in and delineate and highlight the lines that you've got, right? So on the barrels of the cannon, you need to put a shade in the middle of the gap of each barrel. So where you've got the two barrels sort of bunched up against each other, that line down there needs a shade, and you need to just highlight those little white bands. Okay, that's what you need to do to it. You don't need to wash the whole thing. You just need to just put your darkest shadows and your brightest highlights on. That's all. I wouldn't weather it at all. And last one, Blade Mark. Ignore the cat. He goes where he wants. Mate, I love that. That's awesome. Nice bit of series is the war cry thing, isn't it? I love it. I like the wood effect you've got there. Let's just get this zoomed in a bit. Mike, message me if you want. Tomorrow, not today. It's too late now. But yeah, I like the wood. That's not bad. I think you probably need to do a little bit more with the skulls that you've got there, though, because they're very similar in hue to the wood, and I didn't notice them until we zoomed in on the picture. So maybe just go for a brighter, colder highlight on those. Your wood has got a little bit of a warmth to it, so just something to separate those two apart would be really, really good. I like what you've done on the face. Like, the main bulk of this thing's pretty spot on, mate. The green at the bottom, though, that needs some more work. Everything else you've done has got a little bit more depth to it, a little bit more life and light. This, I feel, is not quite at the same standard as the rest of your piece. So I definitely give that a little bit of love. And then these skulls, just give them a little bit more of a highlight. Go much more into a bright bone, just so they stand out from the wood a bit. Great job, though, dude. Whoops, wrong button. We want this. Overall, big fan. Yeah, keep it up, dude. I feel it's a bit too similar to the wood. It's the main reason I painted the rope as vines. That makes sense. Yeah, it also keeps your colour palette similar as well, because you've got that kind of green towards the bottom of it as well. And I don't mind that at all. Just go a little brighter. So similar to how you've done the very top of those like wooden stakes, something along those sorts of lines for a colour, but just get it really, really like restricted just around the brow lines, around the orbitals, any teeth that are showing, just hit those and keep it really, really regimented to that area, and they'll stand out more, because we as human beings learn to recognize shapes, and we as war gamers basically learn to recognize the shape of a skull because of the amount of them that GW puts on their stuff. And so it will stand out and it will draw the eye right to them and be easily identifiable from any distance as skulls rather than part of the wood, which is what they almost look like at the moment. But top marks, man. Top marks. Let's see who is streaming. Once again, this was our base. A lot of work on that over 2 streams, but is that not worth it? I mean, that is a really, really solid base for the fucking beautiful Magnus to go on. Of course, don't forget, 1 week from today, the choice of the mystery box or either of these two, painted by me in a colour scheme of your choice, will be there. And Sunday, which is the next stream, if I haven't managed to do the commands that Des has been on at me to do for the last longer than I care to mention, as a forfeit at the start of the stream, I will do a double shot of habanero hot sauce from Mike's favourite sauce shop and mine, the sauce shop, and then follow it up with a large tequila. So I absolutely have to get those commands made. Otherwise, there might be actual tears. It's gonna be a fucking nightmare. Right, let's see who's on. Twitch is so quiet right now. I don't get it. C-Not Bush is on. What's he up to today? That is way too impressive. Min-Max Minis is doing more on the bird. And Cutthroat Cure is painting... I'm not sure what, but it looks cool as fuck. Maybe. I'll tell you what, it might be Cutthroat Cure, but let's have a quick look at the browse for art or minifigures. Okay. Why is this not... Fuck you, Twitch. You're not working properly. Alright, let's try Warhammer first then, and then search tags for miniature figures. So, who have we got? Slow Fuse is on. We've got some tyrannies being painted by a dude. You know what? I think it's going to be cut for a cure. Nah, fuck it. Let's go and do the sculpture. Yeah, Magnus wants it. Not even a punishment, mate. That habanero sauce is hot AF as far as I'm concerned. That's a bit pokey. So for me, a little bit of a punishment. Let's go raid this boy. It's an epic, epic sculptor. Absolute badass. When we get there, I want all of the emotes spammed in his chat. Let him know where you've come from. And we will see you on Sunday, where I will be potentially doing a forfeit. But I'm hoping I've got all those commands done. We'll also be painting this glowy orb in a very bright blue. So if you want to see a little bit of how to do not OSL, but just a glowing effect, tune in there at 9. Otherwise, guys, peace out. Have a good one.